We get started here in un momento. In un momentino. Right? So don't go anywhere. I had myself some lunch, so I'm feeling a little bit replenished. I was gonna get up and make breakfast, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. You ever do that? Then you're like starving. It comes lunchtime, and it's like, gotta get something. So, went and did that. Now one of my dogs is eating every little bite of his dog chow except his medicine that I gave him yesterday. Yeah, I'm telling on you. I'm ratting you out right now. He's doing it. He's not eating his medicine in protest. So I even wrapped it in cheese yesterday. He ate the cheese and spit out the pill. It's a dog. I held his snout, and it did. And then it it falls out on the side. Mr. Slick. Yeah. Anyway. I have some other tricks up my sleeve, though, so. He's like, how dare you? How dare you? Sorry if you guys can hear NBC in the background. I was on some sports here, so. Two of Wands. Temperance card, Sagittarius. Temperance also means patience. You might have heard of tempering your eggs. What does that mean? Tempering your eggs. That means that you have to slowly add your eggs so that you don't scramble your eggs, as in when you're doing baking. Okay? As you're not making breakfast, you're making something else, like maybe a cake or something of that nature. So, he's all done snacking, so he's on the bed behind me now. Seven of Wands. Ten of Pentacles in the heart chakra. So yeah, that should make you happy, right, collective? If you have all your 10 pentacles, that means that your bills are paid, you got that roof over your head, your family's happy, you know what I mean? Like, if you're like me, you were able to order some food for lunch today instead of cooking, and I told the gal who's putting the stuff together, I'm like, glad you guys are open today, because I was not in the mood to be cooking. Some days I don't mind it, but today was just not that day. You know what I mean? Message held for review. Okay, remember to please do follow the guidelines, especially if you are in the chat, including being kind to others. Okay. Page of Pentacles. Somebody collective could think that you don't have the right kind of experience, yet you're sitting here with the 10 of Pentacles, like, well, it's like when, they thought you were bluffing and then you lay down the full house or, the straight, and it's like, oh, and it's like, this ain't just getting lucky, right? This isn't just winning one hand. This is the whole jackpot. And they're probably like, oh, we didn't think leprechauns like you existed. Well, I guess you're going to have to go and rewatch Darby O'Gill and the Little People, aren't you? Right? Because sometimes it's the little people, right? that make things happen, right? Oh, so and so is a big name and blah blah. Okay, that's great. Well, what who are all the people that that person relies on? Sure, they might be paying them for the service, but it's still there's other people doing things, right? You know, greatness does not exist in a vacuum. You know. Tower card. Okay. So somebody could be having a tower moment because they're seeing that maybe you are more experienced than what they comprehended. And for them, it's like a shock to their third eye because they're now realizing like, oh, like they have their stuff together. You know, somebody was viewing you as a page that didn't really say have everything under control, and maybe you don't, right? Sometimes part of the chaos of life and flowing with life, right, leads us where we're supposed to go on our journey. I keep hearing the word seance. I don't know. Do people still do that? I only thought that was in like old TV shows and stuff. you know, people gather around, we're gonna have a seance, you know, and then they invite somebody in, and then there's chanting, you know what I mean, and make it all, you know, it's entertainment. Some of it is an illusion, right? That's why a lot of people don't like, you know, folks that call themselves mediums and things of that nature because they've seen some of that, right? And I'm not gonna necessarily disagree because I've seen people who are card readers that, you know, they have to go through these elaborate, um, you know, rituals before reading the cards or getting into it and everything. And, you know, if you don't resonate with that, then that's just not your style. It's just not what is good for you. But for somebody else, if it's not hurting anything and nobody's being taken advantage of in the situation, right? As long as, you know, both of your eyes are open, right? Then I don't, you know, personally, I don't see an issue with it. That's not my, you know what I mean? That's like me saying, oh, well, they shouldn't be spending money at the liquor store even though they're over the age of 21. Okay. Um, like on what planet? Have you seen the planet that we are on? There are plenty of liquor stores abound. Okay. And you know what? Where else am I gonna get my lottery tickets at? I don't know. I don't want to necessarily buy them at the grocery store. It's not as fun for me. I like going to the gas station, liquor store, wherever, get my lottery tickets. And that's another thing too. People think like, oh, well, I'll go talk to the psychic. They're gonna give me the winning numbers. It doesn't necessarily work that way. I'm just gonna say, you know, and you can't put that on these people and be like, oh, well, they said now I lost, therefore it's their fault. No, no, because I didn't tell you to go play those numbers. Maybe you shouldn't be playing the lottery anyway, right? If maybe you're on the kind of budget that doesn't allow for that. I mean, have you seen they kicked up the mega to like it's like $5 now. You know, they used to be what, you know, $2, dollar, whatever. Somebody says don't booger at that joint, my friend. I think you're referring to my incense that I have burning here. I also have some sage also, but I haven't gotten into that yet. Um, this I think I actually got at the Five Below store. Yeah. And some of the incense I used the other day, I also got this came in like a pack of like 8 of these like 10 sticks, and they were all different scents and stuff. This I also got at the Five Below store, but every now and then, it's again, you know, some of these gas stations and liquor stores and whatnot, I can find these too. You know, the real deal, right? Um, but some of it, you know, you gotta be careful because when you burn it, it's like not good. You know what I mean? So make sure you're getting the right kind of incense. It's not toxic, right? And there was this one I bought, and it was like supposed to be for like calling in money, and oh my god, I lit it. I had to put it out. It was the worst, some of the worst smelling incense I've ever picked up in my entire life, or smelled in my entire life. I threw the whole thing out. It was terrible, and I thought that has some nasty chemicals on it that are just trying to poison people. That's what that is. I was like, forget it. Just like there was a bottle of wine I opened the other day, and I couldn't believe the alcohol content. Like some wine, like you drink it, it tastes like grapes. Other wine, you drink it, and it's like did I just have a shot of freaking Tito's in there? You know what are they doing over there? That was the Tempranillo. As a matter of fact, if you guys saw when I was sharing because I bought some Spanish wine. It was the Spanish wine. So I bought some Spanish wine in celebration of them winning the World Cup. The blend that actually does have the garnacha in it was very good. The something Sangre de Toros, that was very good. But this Tempranillo, that's which I should have known. The name's Flaco. So yeah, what do they know about wine? Anyway, it's very very alcoholic. So that might, I don't know, maybe I'll put it into a sangria or use it in some cooking or something. But yes, to answer in the chat, I am a Cubs fan. I would say a Bears fan also. King of Cups, Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. Knight of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Well, that's not so bad. So we had Sagittarius, Ten of Pentacles, Tower card. And so, you know, people being surprised that you're like this advanced, and you're just kind of like sitting here like, you know, appreciating a job well done. He has his hammer, he has his little cigarette and his little work shirt. He's like, yep, got it done. Yet again, got it done. They were surprised. They were surprised. You know, it's like that. What do they say? Oh, ye of little faith. You know, it often reminds me, and sometimes I'm just so thankful for the school teachers that I had growing up, because they would say these things sometimes, and you're like, huh? But when you remember when you're older, it's like, because this is how some people act. So, for instance, you know, I remember one of our teachers being like, okay, so if you were trapped on a desert island, what would you do? You know, and they're like, and you're all by yourself, there's nobody else, right? And some people are like, well, we might die. And they're like, okay, well, how long do you think that's going to take, though? You know, and then it got our little brains thinking, right? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously you're not just going to die on day one, right? But there's so many people collective that they just want to throw in the towel because, oh, they ended up on this desert island. Not thinking that there might be a coconut around the corner, not thinking that there might be some nice fish to catch. You know what I mean? Things like this where it's like, is it really that bad? Okay, I get it. There's no Walmart, but doesn't everybody complain about going to Walmart anyway? I mean, you know, it's like you can't have it both ways. You know, it's like, are you going to complain about all the conveniences of life, and then when you get away from that, then it's like, help me. It's like, well, I thought that's what y'all want, right? So, you know, just, you know, the ability to strategically think, to critically think, okay? So, you know, if you were all alone, it's like, what would you do? Some people aren't used to being alone. Some people have never don't understand the concept of alone time. Some people don't like to be alone because they're codependent on other people's energy. I mean, I think that movie Castaway answered the question for us. You know, what would you do? Well, number one, you try not to lose your mind, right? Number two, you have an imaginary friend, right? Uh, you know, what's he doing? Eating, sleeping. You know, you survive. You survive. The sun'll come out, and it did today. La 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 la. You know what I mean? Sorry, guys, I gotta get somebody out of the. People think they're slick in here. Alrighty then. Establish, settle, secure, wealthy. Okay, so collective, you might have this kind of wealthy mindset. You know, you feel good, fulfilled where you're at. And just because somebody comes around and offers you something, it doesn't mean you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, let me drop everything and go running towards you. No. As if you don't have anything going on. You know, it's like this is not a Pavlov's dog exercise. So whoever thought they could treat you like a dog, and you just come running, right? You're like, no, I'm not doing that. In fact, maybe you should go to the pound and get a dog. You know. Or if you're not a dog person, get a cat, right? I'm sure there's even some birds and other animals available at some of these places, right? Cutting ties, freedom, standing up, awaken. So a collective, this tempering yourself has you know, where you're slowing the speed, right? So you know, instead of you being like, that's right, I'm going to jump in and save the day, you're like, I might dip my toe in, see if I like it here or not. If not, you're like, why do you need to stay? You know, so learning to slow down has helped you cut ties in a way that just seems more adult like, professional, things of that nature, right? It's, you know, it's kind of like hearing about these job interviews where they want you to like submit a project, they want you to do this and that, and it's like before you ever even get paid. I mean, and this was not even a job. This was like, you know, a side project that we were all doing for free, and I had somebody trying to read me the riot act on me not being there for one session of this project that we were working on, and I'm like, you know, last time I checked, nobody's paying for my gas money to get over here. Nobody's paying me for my time. You know, so you can step off your high horse about what you think you get to boss me around doing. Okay, so collective mutual respect, unity, and closeness. Yeah, you're yearning for something that's a little bit more mature instead of somebody who wants to act like your parent or act like big brother or big sister or, you know, older cousin or whatever, and be like, oh no, you had to do this and you had to do that because I was left in charge, you know. And you're like, what? You know, you're like, I'm grown. You're not over here contributing nothing mentally or otherwise. You know, where you're just like, and there's people that want to act like they intimately know you, and they, what was that? What was that show on? Was it MTV Cribs or something? They're like, you think you know, but you have no idea. I don't want to look at some of these people's financial statements that are on TV having the time of their lives. And when I grew up, especially my folks were in a union, and so it was a pretty good paying job, right? And there were a lot of other union families and stuff, but some people thought that was going to last forever. You know what I mean? So when people brag about, oh, I'm using my leverage. Okay, you can, but just like options traders, when the underlying security becomes available, you have to make that decision, and it's like put up or shut up. So you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, I made all these deals where I'm going to make all this money. Okay, well, but do you have the underlying funds to close the deal? I mean, gal on YouTube was sharing her story about, she was under 30 years of age buying her first home. It sounded like she might have had a little bit of help because she did disclose that, because I mean the price of the house was like $300,000 or something, and then she had to bring like almost $42,000 to closing. So yeah, buy a house, it'll be great, and you have how much money at the closing? That's not even the 10% down payment. Like she already did that. Like for a first time home buyer to having 10% down, I mean, I think they like you have 20% down, but even then, I mean, 10% is pretty good for a first time home buyer. That's a young person. So again, collective, it's like you're going through the details so that you can stand on top of this 10 of Pentacles and understand what it means. Whereas somebody else is like, oh, I didn't know that that would be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, kind of how that one gal who she got JP Morgan is paying her lawyer's bills while she walked away with $175 million to, launch a company. I mean, who's her lawyer? Who's writing up her paperwork? That's who we need to hire. You know what I mean? It's like, and what did JP Morgan just like run that through an LLM? And was like, yeah, it's good. AI said so. Like, did they not have their lawyers check that over before signing the documents? Who got fired in that situation? Where's the accountability? Right? Whereas it's like the rest of us understand, yeah, if we come up missing with $175 million, there's going to be hell to pay. And it's not going to be cutting ties. Some of these dudes are going to get it Vegas style, right? And it's like, I don't want to be in that kind of problem in my life. So, slowly, just like the moon, an inch and a half each year, slowly backing away. Slowly backing away from whatever that is, right? Okay. Lust here, it says greed by any means necessary and inconsiderate. So yeah, the collective, and it's like somebody thinking that they have intimacy with you, but maybe it's just like this kind of lustful attraction, or like, oh well, if I was there I'd be in control of this and that, and that's part of the greed thing, right? And the inconsiderate thing. Have you ever been with a partner and, discussed the, romantic activity and, they care if you enjoyed it or not? Some people will flat out say, oh, I don't care about that. It's like, well, then obviously they don't care about you very much, do they? So should you be having romantic activities with that person? You know? Again, it kind of makes sense now when you used to see those old movies of, they roll over and they both light the cigarette, and one of them's like, was it good for you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, all this kind of stuff. instead of being somebody's, trash wrapper. And, them getting what they want and you feeling like use Kleenex. Like, what? No, I don't think so. Right? And, for dudes, it could be the other way, especially like from a financial standpoint, right? Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'll be taking that. Thanks. You know what I mean? And where it's just like, hey, wait a second, you know? And then they're like, that's all the appreciation I get out of the deal, you know? So, that lust does not have to necessarily be romantic. It could be after material things as well with this greed. So, collective, the fact that you are like king of your own mountain here, right? That's going to trigger other people in thinking that they can come by any means necessary and act inappropriately to try and fulfill their lust and greed. And you have to tell them no. You get to be the one to say, not today, Junior. Okay? Masked. Hiding, concealing, deception. Okay, so again, collective, this could be something that somebody thought that they were going to do to you and deceive others and say, like, and I mean, I've had this happen in a work situation. Like I was up for a promotion, right? And somebody that I worked with at the time went into the boss's office and told them I didn't know my behind from my elbow. Those of you that know the saying know that it's not that polite, right? And this is somebody who I considered a good coworker, peer at work, and that we worked together all the time. But see, they were eligible for that promotion too, so they had to go in there and badmouth me in efforts to make themselves look good and make it look like you didn't know what was going on when in fact, yeah, you do, right? Well, I ended up getting the position. They did not. But there were other people that heard about it and they were not happy. Like they were angry at that person on my behalf, and I mean, because that's how I found out about it, right? Because there were people at work that were like, "Oh yeah, she can do that job. Like she would be good. Be a good fit, right?" You know, and it's like, okay. And some people think because they have the seniority or they're a different gender than you or they got 4 kids at home that they deserve something more than you, even though you're still working hard, right? And maybe knowledgeable and whatnot. Okay. So, watch out for those kind of sneaks, I guess is what I want to say. So this might be in a work environment, okay? I know, isn't it hilarious? It's like they think we've never, ever, 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 and or nobody else has ever, ever, ever had to deal with this before. And it's like there are literal books out there on how to on how to deal with workplace bullies and all these things, and workplace sabotage and la 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 la, right? Shattered, broken, nightmares, failures. Yeah, so whoever these people are, collective, their little egos are getting shattered because they're realizing the truth of the situation, that yes, you did always have it together. They were wrong. That's the message. That yeah. There's nothing else to add to it. So, um, you know, and these are people that claim to be followers of Christ and stuff. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And it's like y'all act like little school children. And in fact, it's worse because at least school children are still learning. Their brains are still developing. The adults' brains out there are supposed to be fully developed. And it's like, did y'all take too much Tylenol or something? Did you have too many beers yesterday because your judgment is clouded? Hmm. I mean, I've even had somebody try and call me out literally, like right in front of the boss, like for a dress code violation. And I was wearing, we worked in the office though, so we're not required to wear closed toed shoes unless we were out in the shop and, or had to go out in the shop for any reason. So I had open toed sandals, but they were not flip flops because nothing went, in between my toes. That was the rule, right? And there was, I mean, this was probably, I was not even 30 yet, right? And this man was in his 50s. And he called me out in front of the whole aisle, and all of our coworkers pointed at my shoes like, "What about her shoes? Aren't those against the la la la?" Basically trying to start an HR incident with me, accusing me of a fault, doing something wrong. And the supervisor had to sit there in front of everyone and say, "Actually, no, her shoes are fine. That would not be a violation." But this dude didn't like me. I knew that. I just tried to stay away from him. But it shattered his little ego so much, me being there, earning money. You know what I mean? Like, what is up your butt, dude? It's just like, it's just gross. Some of these people are just gross. Their attitude about life is just gross. And the thing is, they realize that as they start to age out and stuff and realize that their perceptions, nobody else is buying them. It's gone. Oh my God, who is that? They have so much plastic surgery. Ugh, Jesus. Sorry, I have sports on in the background. Some of these people just take it too far. They just take it too far these days. I just can't. They don't even look like real people. They look like something on a Joker movie. You know what I mean? It's like, I ain't into that. I ain't into that. No. No. I mean, I've been accused of getting Botox. I've been accused of getting perms. That, yo, your hair's not really like that. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like they will do anything to try and trigger you, to try and invalidate you, because again, it just doesn't fit their little minute tiny peanut brains. When they say, "Oh, here's from the peanut, let's hear from the peanut gallery," that's the kind of things that they do and say. So to say that there might not be any love lost, right? So it might be one of these things, collective, where you might be in this King of Cups energy, and you know they're like, "Oh, well, I thought they would be doing this or that," and you're like, "Well, I'm good." Maybe you're by yourself or something, but you're emotionally secure, and maybe they thought you were gonna be like all flipping out and stuff and like feeling down about stuff, but really you're like, I'm good. Because some people don't know how to see past these. It's like in the Superman movie where the villains trap themselves in the mirror and the glass, and it's like they can't ever. Their perception is so small. So, what does God do at that point? It's like, okay, well, you don't want to enjoy the mystery of the universe. Okay, then that's for the collective to keep enjoying the journey, right? You can go off over here and stare at the wall or whatever the hell you want to do. You know what I mean? What also is funny, collective too, is like that some of these people, it's like they'll come after you like that, but you know their family is the best ever, right? And would never make any mistakes ever, and blah blah. But they want to tear you down, as if you're some kind of opposite, even though you're not. Like they don't have any proof. Is that making sense? It's like for them, it's mentally they cannot understand not having somebody else on the teeter totter. They can't mentally comprehend that. That, you know, if somebody's winning, somebody must be losing. Or if they're losing, it's because somebody is winning against them, you know? Versus like, you know, what do these coaches have to tell these runners and these swimmers and everybody that does stuff, you know, stuff like this to compete? It's like, well, you need to be competing against yourself. What's your personal best? Okay, because maybe you're not going to overtake the hot new whoever that, you know, oh, then we've come to find out they were doping. Oh, then to come to find out blah blah blah, right? Consistency. Consistency. Okay? Having a good life and living well is about consistency. I'm here to tell you. And that's why a lot of people don't want to do it, because it's not necessarily the most exciting thing out there, is it? It doesn't require buying a gadget. It doesn't require having the latest whatever, right? You can do that if it makes it more enjoyable for you, motivates you, it's in your budget, right? But is it required? Oh, I can't go on a run. I don't have my Garmin. Really? Boy. Sorry guys, got multiple things flying around here. Alright, not trying to twerk it on camera. Somebody left an interesting comment there about if somebody has constant fighting in your home and family, look for the root. You know, and sometimes collective, we're in situations where, you know, it's like you're part of a family unit, right? And you know, not every day is going to be perfect, right? There are challenges to life. Okay, that's part of life. Recharge, breathe, let go, clear your mind. So again, by this water collective, this could be very significant for you. And it could be because you need to get away from somebody who feels very self-important. When I worked in my corporate career, that's what somebody used to say. They're like they feel important, you know. Because it's like there, you know, there were people that it was like, oh, they thought they were too good for that job, right? And I heard stories over and over again, especially from the OTs, the old timers, right? And we used to call them the OTs. And anyway, they would say, yeah, they used to get people in here. Oh, you know, they tried having all these engineers come in here and do this job, and they had to have an engineering degree and blah, blah. Well, they got in here and they thought they were too good for it. They thought this was beneath them. You know, whereas I did have a degree, and I did study some engineering, but when I got there, I didn't have that attitude. You know what I mean? But, you know, not everybody's built like you, collective. Some people think because, you know, their family name is this, or their mom or dad did that, or, you know, they were a big shot in high school, blah, 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 15 years ago, that you're supposed to still bow down to them like they're the bully in high school, and life doesn't work that way. Again, this is what some of these people are finding out. They're finding out what the real playing field is. They thought they were on the right playing field because it had the people with the faces that look like this. You know what I mean? Yeah, they thought they were doing something. Okay, and they're finding out, yeah, in some cases they ain't squat. You know, that it's amounting to a hill of beans. Okay. So and some jobs are stepping stones. For some people it's not. It's like, oh yeah, I'll, and that was a criticism too. I remember that I thought was kind of weird. So a lot of these managers would come in and be like, oh, well, we don't want someone to just come in here and stay in the same position for 20 years. What if you happen to like that position? What if that was like your dream job? What if that was what you were really good at? Like, then who cares? Then, you know what? Why fix what ain't broken? That's one thing I hated about the corporate world, because it's like, what can we improve upon? There's always something you can improve upon, yes, but don't go breaking stuff that wasn't broken to begin with just to try and claim credit that you fixed it later. That is insanity. That is insanity. Okay? I don't care how many Six Sigmas you got on that. Okay? That was part of that I didn't care for, because that, to me, no. You got a reason for it, fine, but don't come over here going like this and playing 52 card pickup, and then come around with your little broom and say, aren't I so brilliant how I can clean up? No, you're not. And everybody can see through your dumbass horse teeth and that too small, thick skull of yours. You ever seen somebody with a head that big and their body's like all tiny, and it's like, ugh, a face only a mother could love, let me tell you. Two of Swords. Yeah, not digging into, you have established routines. So again, somebody could be trying to sell you on something here, and it's almost like you could make what is giving me right now, it's almost like you could make this decision with your eyes closed. And they're like, oh, but look at the samples, look, and you're just like, I don't need to think about it. Kind of like the people that called me the other day. What were they trying to do? Sell me some new electric provider or some kind of, you know what I mean? And I was like, we're okay with our service provider right now, And I didn't even have to get mean or nothing. They ended up hanging up the phone. And then right after that I hit block. What's that one sign? They're like, says, stay away, Jehovah's Witnesses, blah, blah, seriously, and they're like, we've already been saved, seriously, unless you're selling Girl Scout cookies. Leave us alone. It's like, yeah, I don't need to hear your good news. I've already heard it, and now I'm on to something else. So now you're wasting my time. Did you hear about the woman that riled up the whole plane because she was preaching in the aisle? And I don't think it was just a conversation with her neighbor, about her love for Jesus. It was, oh, everybody on this plane, spiritual warfare. It's like, lady, it's like, is your TikTok not growing fast enough? You know, sometimes you just got to call some of this stuff for what it is. It's just stunts. It's stunts. It's media. It's trying to get media attention. That's a tale as old as time. I mean, they used to do the old tent revival style, right? Get out the snakes. Again, with the seance energy. Versus, you know, like, oh, yeah, we got to go see this guy. And then we got to go get a frog's leg. And then we're going to go get a swallowtail. No. No, it's called showing up, doing the job day after day, right? Yeah, you can go buy that lottery ticket, but don't count on it being the one. You know, you might have to go to work in the meantime. I feel like there's a lot of people in society that didn't think about that. Especially with the rise of the internet. Look, anybody can go out there and start a platform on a plethora of applications these days. Does that mean you're going to be instantly successful? Some of y'all need to read some business case studies. Look at the lady who invented Spanx. How many times she was told no? How many times she almost threw in the towel of her business? Okay, now she has a whole clothing line, which I've ordered some. I like the clothing line myself. I like the clothes more than the pink, because I don't like to suck it in that much anymore. But anyway, back when I was thinner, I used to think I was fatter, so I had some Spanx hose, you know. Um, so yeah, collective. I feel like you're just cutting ties with this kind of mentality. You know, the get rich quick scheme. How many years have I had YouTube channels? How many times have probably haters come out here and probably reported my channel? But you know what? I'm not starting a new channel. I'm not going and running and hiding from nobody. All right, my battery's starting to die here, you guys. Nine of Wands. I'm gonna zip through the rest of this so you can get these cards out here. If it dies, then I will take a picture of the spread for you guys so you can see what the rest of them is. Okay. Star card, Aquarius. Aquarius probably craves a different kind of intimacy than most people understand. Seven of Wands. Yeah. Could be a little bit defensive when it comes to, yeah, your Ten of Pentacles. Especially by people who think they can that it just comes quick and easy. And you're like, what planet do you live on? What movie have you been watching? Because I can tell you that's not how it works. It's like these people are just possessed by ideas that they don't understand. Four of Wands. Again, they thought you didn't have much, and yet you're over here in the Four of Wands. And now they're massive coming off saying, oh, show me how. Show you how to do what? Go and get a job? Empress card. I mean, some of these people, they don't even have to pay for their housing. Do you understand what I mean? It's like, okay, then what else do you want? What else do you want? You know? Oh, well, I want to work from home. Okay. Become an Avon lady. They did that back in the day. Princess House, anyone? You know? MLM has been around for a long time. Amway, you ever hear of it? Ten of Cups. Yeah, your Empress card, Ten of Cups, another Knight here. This is the Knight of Wands. So, collective, there could be a Knight of Wands who is more this kind of like narcissistic behavior here. Whereas you're like, yeah, that's fun and all, and maybe, you know, whatever, but you're looking for the Knight of Pentacles, right? And I don't want to hear about men do that versus women, because we all know everybody gets vulnerable. Everybody gets susceptible. Everyone's like, oh, everyone's has a partner but me.